So we now have a Bill Kelday guitar. Bill Kelday is a Scottish luthier based just outside Fintry, and I've known his guitars for quite a while now, and I've mostly known his cedar guitars, so it was interesting to have a spruce top guitar to play this evening. So Ian, you've had a play on this guitar, and you played Sevilla by Albéniz on this guitar. So what were your sort of immediate sort of impressions of the instrument?
Well, I think it's a good standard Spanish guitar. Like the Aram, which we discussed earlier, it's a very traditional 7-strat design, and it does what you would expect a Spanish guitar to do. It's got a very sweet treble. It's immediately quite punchy, which is a very good quality to have. You feel as if the guitar is projecting. And I mean, I chose Sevilla because it's a standard piece from the repertoire on a guitar which possesses quite a lot of those traditional Spanish qualities.
I think it's quite interesting when you get guitars similar to the one Bill has. It has almost got quite sort of explosive qualities to it at times. Like some parts of it are a little bit louder than others. Like, you know, that top E string was very good at for sort of projecting and throwing the sound out. And what I sort of thought was, well, I mean, I played a very sort of gentle piece, an Irish piece called Inisheer, which is very simple, very traditional, very sort of beautiful. But the reason why I sort of chose it was because certain notes were jumping out at me more than others. And I think I notice this a lot with guitars. You know, guitar music tends to be written in E, A or D, because that's our 3 bass string, our open bass string. So we get these good keys, they resonate well on the instrument. And some makers tap into that a little bit more than others. Some go for the uniformity, so every fret will sound well. You know, every note should have a good sort of strong quality and character to it. And I think some makers, well, you know, the way they build or the methods, they end up getting good, strong keys. You know, a guitar that sounds really good in D, or a guitar that sounds very good in E, or whatever. Certain guitars do react well to certain notes, you know, in certain keys. And Bill's guitar has a lot of overtones.
Yes.
Now they can pose a player a problem, because you know yourself, overtones are great, and then if they're not the right overtones that you want,
that's right.
You have to work to control them, and you have to be very careful.
I mean, I think the point about resonance is an interesting one. I generally think it's better that the guitar has the resonance.
For sure.
And then it's up to you as a player to control it.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, then you lose something.
Yeah.
You know? And the resonance is so important in order to allow the guitar to project as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but I just think sometimes makers don't, you know, can be a little bit careless with resonance, and I'm not accusing Bill of that at all here. But I remember years ago I was a student and I played an Irish guitar, and it was a guitar maker who was really well known for making steel string guitars, George Loudon, and he had a classical guitar that a student had, and immediately you played it, it was like so satisfying because everything overrang and there was so many resonances, and the immediacy was to sort of overdose on this amazing resonance, and it made you feel very happy. Everything was great. It was fun to play. But then as you got deeper into the music and your interpretation of the music, it was a little bit harder to control.
That's right. As soon as you play something in E flat, it's not going to provide the necessary sound.
It's sort of harder. But like you say, if you don't have that, then you're going to lose a lot of the treble. You're going to lose a lot of the quality in the bass. So it's about getting a balance and getting something that suits certain types of music. The piece I played, I was getting a lot of over-ringing, and I was getting this very nice bell-like sound, and it suited the simplicity of that piece because I was getting, you know, sympathetic overtone. So I thought it was really nice for just this genteel sort of piece. It could be maybe a little bit problematic if I was playing, heavily chromatic music,
Yes.
something like a Bach fugue or something like that. Then you have to maybe work a little bit harder than maybe for example on the Aram, which was so clear.
Yeah.
But then again, you have got that very punchy top E string. You've got that explosive character to it. It's suited to the Sevilla, which has got that sort of real energy about it as well.
And it's interesting that we both chose to play very contrasting pieces. I mean, with the Aram, we both latched on to certain qualities that guitar possesses.
Yeah.
Balance, sweetness of tone, depth of bass, colour. This guitar, as I say, well, as we've both said, it's a very standard Spanish instrument. It can deliver in all repertoire.
It's a very large rosette, which we were thinking, and it's interesting. The Aram had a really tiny rosette, almost kind of minimalistic. And I've two thoughts about this. I think the Aram rosette would get lost in a concert hall. You'd really be able to perceive the detail of it in the first few rows, and then after anything further back on that, it would just become a sort of shape. Whereas that would be very clear further back in the hall. So there is something about that, very distinctive, and it would last with people, give people a lasting impression with the instrument.
It certainly has a very classic look. This guitar. I mean, if we think of those. Old little music boxes you get, and you might have a little senorita with the guitar, a little figure, and the guitars would generally look like this, exactly. With a slightly bigger rosette, a very clear design, and it's a very Spanish-looking guitar.
For sure.
I mean, I do like that.
Yeah.
I think personally I have some reservations about the way this particular guitar looks. I'm not sure if I can quite put my finger on it. It might just be that the rosette's a little too bold.
Yeah. And what you're accustomed to, if you
that's
see.
right. We're all used to certain things,
exactly.
and guitarists, like everybody else, feel out of their comfort zone sometimes.
Exactly.
And so that's a very personal thing. It's a very subjective point.
You're right. It's completely subjective, but I mean, what's even more obvious about it is it provoked us to play completely different music.
Yes.
So therefore it's a very interesting instrument.
That's right. That can only be a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.